Hi, today we're gonna be doing embossing basics. So hopefully you watched my inkpad basics tutorial that kind of touches on different inks that you use for embossing. I didn't really go in depth into it for my inkpad basics tutorial just because I knew I wanted to devote a whole entire tutorial to it. So first off, I just want to show you what I emboss with. This is called a sill pad. It's actually for baking. You put this down on your cookie sheet and it's a non-stick surface. So I decided to use it for my crafts just because it does take heat well and it's non-stick, so I can do different glue gun things on this and it's really useful. One thing is, you know, if you use it for your crafts, you have to just devote it to crafts, and you know, vice versa. It is on the pricey side, but I think it's worth it just because it protects your surface. One thing to keep in mind though is that although it's heat resistant and it protects your immediate surface here, you have to be careful what you're actually embossing on. I know my mat is dirty, but those of you who been with me from the beginning know that I can't get rid of this because this mat actually has been with me since college. Okay, anyway, so this mat is not heat resistant, and I don't think there are many mats that are self-heating mats that are heat resistant. So keep in mind that if you do have this over your mat, that it's going to may warp, so be careful about that. Alright, why don't we just jump in. Now, I know I talked about the Versamark and its, you know, versatility and its use for embossing. So this would be my main ink pad for embossing. So what we're gonna do, and it is clear, so it will take to any kind of color embossing powder that you use. So right here, I'm just gonna ink it up. And then I'm going to stamp my image, and then I'm going to take some embossing powder. I'm going to show you silver embossing. So as you can see, the powder sticks nicely to that Versamark. And now we're going to grab the heat gun and just heat it. And watch it change. It's like magic. There you go, it's really quick. So one thing about this heating tool, you're not going to be able to use a blow dryer. You can't substitute a blow dryer with this. You has to be specifically for embossing. Now these run about $20, $30 depending on what brand you buy. We do sell them in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, but you definitely need one of these to emboss. It's a must, and no hair dryers. So it's a good investment just because you will find yourself doing embossing. And just look at it. Look how nice it is. So this is the effect that you're gonna get. It's a raised surface, and it's, you know, it's smooth. It really, you know, increases the level of your card or scrapbook pages. It just takes it up that extra level. It's really elegant, especially these silvers and golds. Okay, next we are gonna do some heat and stick. Heat and stick is a type of embossing powder that becomes sticky when you heat it up. This is something that we sell at Stampin' Up! It's called the heat and stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my stamp with the Versamark, stamp the image where I want it, and then I'm going to grab some of my powder. It's good to keep these embossing powders. Oh, I must not have stamped it well. These embossing powders come in these little tiny jars, which make it a little difficult. So that's why you'll see I've transferred the powders that I use the most into these Tupperware or Ziploc containers just because it's a lot easier to use that way. So I'm going to heat this up. Okay, and you'll know when it's ready because it'll change color. It's like magic. So now the surface is sticky. Gonna grab my glitter, put it on top. It acts like a glue that will stay just where the embossed surfaces are. Okay. And now I'm going to set it by heating it one more time. Okay. After I heat set it, I'm gonna just take my brush and brush away the excess glitter because it's not gonna stick. That excess glitter has nowhere to stick to, so it's basically just hanging on by static. And you see how pretty that is? Like I said, I missed a spot there when I was stamping. So it's beautiful, and you know, this has so many possibilities just because there's a gazillion different colors of glitter out there. So what I have here is, we'll talk about the anti-static. As you notice, with the glitter, the little pieces of glitter sticks to the paper just because of static. Stampin' Up! Sells what we call embossing buddy, and you rub this across the surface of the paper and it takes the static off of the paper, so it allows the embossing powder just to stick where you stamped. One thing about this is that it's a powder, and I really don't care for it. There's other very good uses for it, and I do have a tutorial on the uses for this in one of my previous posts a while back. It's very good for other things, but I don't like it, or I don't care to use it for embossing purposes, because one of my pet peeves is having little pieces of embossing powder or whatever under my surface. I can't stand that grinding sound, so I don't care to use it for static purposes. What I do love is just using a dryer sheet. So just use one of your used dryer sheets, attach it to an alligator clip, and there you have an instant anti-static, you know, device. We're going to emboss with dye ink. So you're gonna ink up your stamp with the Versamark, then you're gonna get straight to the dye ink and stamp straight onto your surface. Now I'm gonna grab my clear embossing powder, and now the surface is sticky enough so that we can go ahead and emboss on it. So it just picks up that powder so well. Alright, now we're gonna just heat it up. Just like magic. Gives it a nice shiny finish. Really pretty. So why do I like embossing? That's one of the questions that I always get. I just like doing it. It's because it just adds that extra sheen to the image, and especially with solid ink stamps. But as you notice, I emboss almost everything, even my lined images, just because I like the look of it, and I don't have to worry about it smearing. Even though it says it doesn't smear, I just feel more comfortable, you know, coloring on a surface that's embossed, just because it kind of like, it almost, the embossing powder acts like a seal over the image. So that's the only reason why I use embossing powder a lot, just because I like the look. It's, you know, no other reason. It's just fun. So anyway, I hope this helped. If you have any questions, just email me and I can try and help you out. Alright.